Hi guys, my name's Lee Pemberton and welcome to our 12-week high performance service accommodation hotel masterclass. This is session number 1 and today we're going to focus on strategy. Now I feel strategy is really important and I'll be going into more detail about that very shortly. So if you have any questions while you're listening to this and watching this live Facebook strategy session, then please share in the comments. I'd love to know who's listening in right now. That'd be fantastic. And if you're watching the recording of this strategy session, then please do continue to add comments and questions into this section and I'll be really happy to answer those. So first of all, what is the 12-week high performance service accommodation hotel masterclass all about? So let me just be quite clear with you. This is an environment that I wanted to create. I've been in service accommodation now for over 20 years. And I'm sure, like most of you, I find it's a really lonely place. You know, we're in hospitality, we're out there, we're talking to guests on a day-to-day basis, we're talking to our landlords and we're talking to our investors. But when we come back home at the end of the day, it's quite a lonely place. And I just know over the last 20 years, having this Mrs. P having to listen to me day in, day out, talking about service accommodation, I know she's really fed up of it. So I felt, what about an opportunity where we could create an environment where we could work together, we could take our businesses and we can really try to accelerate our businesses and grow these businesses into what I believe is a high performance business. Now, whether you're a hotel owner or whether you're a service accommodation operator, it doesn't matter. The same principles are going to apply. And that's what we're going to be working through together over the next 12 weeks. So I really do encourage you to ask questions, to challenge me along the way, to share best practice as much as possible. And let's create an environment where we can work together and really grow our businesses. I want this environment to be a positive environment. You know, if we're going to grow as individuals and if we're going to grow our business, we need to be growing within a positive environment. And that's what this is all about. Now, I know there's going to be challenges that are going to become our way, but that's why it's important that we work together. And I really do encourage you to do that. So I created the Accelerator Academy as a Facebook group for us to be able to work within together. It's a nice, as I said, positive environment where we can work together within that. And I thought, what a better way to do it than to actually create the blueprint that I've been working on over the last 20 years and work with this business day in, day out and break the business down into a 12-week blueprint. And why don't I share that with you? Now, I'm not saying I've got everything right in any way, shape or form, but what I'm encouraging you to do is to challenge me as I share things with you, as I share templates with you, as I share my processes and procedures and strategies with you. Challenge me on those, because I'm not saying I've got everything right, but I want to be able to improve upon those and that we can share those together to create our high performance business for the future. Now, why do we want to do that? Look, service accommodation now has been around for a few years and there's a lot of people that I know, especially within this group, that have been very successful within service accommodation. I know that some of you have also had huge challenges, including myself over the years. But I genuinely believe that this is a business, an industry that has huge potential. And that's why I'm really focused and passionate about this business. And I want you to join me as we go forward in the coming years to create this into a really good business for all of us. So why? Why do we want to do that? Well, the opportunity, I think, is huge. I think we can all see with the success of Airbnb and Booking.com over the past few years, how the business traveler and leisure guests are looking at alternatives to stay outside of just your traditional hotel. And at the same time, I think there's challenges if you're a bed and breakfast owner or a guest house owner, with the challenges of Airbnb coming along. It's created a lot of pressure for guest houses and B&B owners. So we've got to move with the times. Things have to move. And that's what I want to share with you, is kind of like where I'm at now, where I'm trying to go, and to really share with you, I think, what are the opportunities out there. Look, the United Nations have predicted that by 2025, that's only 5 years away from now, that 75% of today's global workforce will be traveling for business. The days of kind of large corporates having huge buildings, like what we see in the city and in Canary Wharf and what have you, are going to slowly over time change. The whole working environment is changing. We've seen the success of how WeWorks and this whole co-working space has changed. And I believe over time that that's going to happen in the environment of where guests are going to be staying. So I think there's some great opportunity coming our way, but I think the guest of tomorrow is going to be looking at how they're going to be changing their habits and their ways of how they're going to be traveling. So yeah, with the success of things like Facebook Live, with Skype, Zoom, and all these other platforms that are out there, it's great for doing business. But the studies prove that actually a good old-fashioned get-together and having a meeting over a cup of coffee and project teams working together within an environment is very, very powerful on a face-to-face basis. Not necessarily always through a kind of a digital platform. So I think there's a marketplace for this, but I also believe that people will be traveling more so. So I absolutely do believe in what the United Nations are saying, and I do believe there will be more people traveling. So where does that put us as property investors, asset managers, bed and breakfast owners, service accommodation operators? We've got to move with the times, and I believe that there's a great opportunity for us to do that right now. We also know there's challenges coming our way with legislation. It's only going to be a matter of time where legislation is going to come into play when it comes to hospitality and short lets and letting properties out on a kind of, let's say, a nightly basis. I think, we've done well up until now, and hopefully that will continue to happen in the coming years. But it's only going to be a matter of time now, I think, before things are going to start to change and legislation is going to come in place. It would make sense for that to happen. So we've got to be able to adapt what we're trying to do and make sure that we're kind of ahead of the game with this and not just kind of following the herd through. That's my belief anyway. That's kind of what I believe in. So let's now get in and focus on what the plan is with regards to the 12-week program. So what we've done is I've broken the blueprint down into a 12-week step-by-step approach, and each week I'll be doing a Facebook Live with you. That will be every Thursday, and I will share that particular module for that particular week. So at the moment, today, we're going to focus on strategy. And over the next 4 weeks, we're going to concentrate on strategy today. We're going to be looking at research next week, so researching our area. We're then going to be looking at how we position ourselves, our authority. If we're going to be talking to agents, we're going to be talking to landlords, how do we position ourselves? And I'm going to be doing a workshop, a masterclass specifically on that. And in week 4, at the end of month, we're going to be focusing on sourcing. How do we source the properties? So I've tried to break this down over the next 4 weeks into chunks. So we start with our strategy. Let's know exactly what we're trying to do. Let's look at the research for the area where we want to be focusing in on. Let's look at how we position our authority for when we're going out there and starting to talk to agents and to landlords. And then let's focus in on the sourcing side in week 4, where we're then going to actually show you exactly how to go and speak to, whether it's property developers, whether it's institutional investors, which is kind of where I'm focused at the moment, whether it is a private landlord with maybe a block of apartments or even just one apartment. So there are all the things that we're going to be breaking down over the next 4 weeks. And then we will then go into February and then into March, and I'll be breaking down those sections as we go forward from there. So I've broken down the 12 modules within the group so you can see where we're trying to go. And I do hope, as I said, the whole idea is just to get massive value from this. This is all I want you to do. As I said, it's a lonely place, and I just want to be able to interact and work with more people. I find by sharing my knowledge, sharing my experiences, the challenges, everything that I go through, it just improves me as a person. So there's a selfish angle to this, I'm being honest. I find that by sharing this, it's improving me. You're holding me accountable. I now know every Thursday I've got to deliver. So it's making me focus in on that particular section to make sure that I've got that in place within my business, because it's no good me sharing something with you that I've kind of I haven't tried and tested myself. So this is holding me accountable as well. So I really hope that, as I said, you get massive value from this as we go through this program over the next 12 weeks. So let's focus in now on strategy. Now, I want to just share with you for a moment now what my strategy is, because I'm hoping that may then get you thinking about potentially what your strategy is. And I'm going to go into a bit more detail about where I think you should be looking at with your strategy and the challenge I'm going to set for you over this next week when you're thinking about your strategy. So for me, the strategy changes all the time. So when I started in service accommodation 20 years ago. I wanted to create a lifestyle business. I wanted a business. Amanda and I just got married. We had our first child, and I wanted to be able to be around. I wanted to be there with the boys as they grew up. I wanted to be able to do the prep with them. I wanted to be the touchline dad running up and down, watching the rugby and the football and what have you. That's what I wanted. I wanted to create a lifestyle business. And that was really important to me. So I went into service accommodation having come out of the hotel industry. And I thought this is a really good way to be able to run a business and also work from home, and to be able to obviously be there for my family over those years. And I was able to do that. Now, again, I said this wasn't easy. It was hard work, but that's what I was able to do. So for me, as my strategy, if I look back 20 years ago, that was very much my strategy at the time, was to be able to create a business to earn enough money to pay the mortgage, earn enough money to be able to put food on the table, and to be able to be there for the family. And then as things developed over those years, and me being a kind of a creator type profile, I wanted to develop the business further. I could see this opportunity. So I then started to create more of a nationwide business. And that was through owning property, through leasing property, and through managing property as well. And that was my next strategy, was then to be able to kind of start to develop and build this further afield from there, sort of thing. And as most of you know, 2008, when the banking crisis came, sadly, I had to close my business down because for various reasons, which I'm happy to share on another session. But that's what happened. So I started again in 2009, and I went back to basics again. I went back to starting the business again from home, and building up just a really nice kind of operational management business from where I lived at the time in Cheltenham. So if I fast forward to where we are now, I've now moved. I now live in central London. And for me, I've been really focused over definitely the past year, on really what is my strategy? What am I trying to do now with this business? And what I've realized is actually what I want to create is a more of a boutique type business. I'm not interested in creating a nationwide business. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that whatsoever, but for me, I want to create a boutique business. I see an opportunity right now. I want to focus on London. I've done lots of traveling over the past couple of years up and down the country at various networking events and things like that. And for me right now, my strategy is to focus on central London. There are some fantastic buildings. They're priced at the moment, I believe, at quite a good price. I have some very good investors. I have a fund that I'm working with at the moment that are interested in buying these buildings. I've got some good service accommodation operators that I'm working with. So my strategy at the moment is to act as a consultant and to kind of merge together the investors, the buyers basically, and the sellers, and bring in the operators to be able to create kind of a high yield investment opportunity for my investors. So that at the moment is my strategy. Alongside that, as far as like looking for high yield, high cash flow, high yield properties, I'm also focused on hotels. Now, not any types of hotels. I'm focused on guest houses and bed and breakfasts, because I believe these properties are tired in general. They're dated. And I believe that marketplace is changing. As I've just mentioned, with the kind of success of Airbnb, there's not as many bed and breakfast operators that want to kind of continue in that marketplace for the foreseeable future. So I'm keen to work with bed and breakfast owners, small boutique hotel owners, and look at how we can take their small hotel, repurpose the space, bring in smart technology to be able to create what I believe is a nice high cash flowing yield property, investment property, whether it's for that bed and breakfast owner or for investors. So me, I'm focused very much on consulting and working with investors and sellers of property, whether that's residential blocks or small hotels. That's my strategy right now. And I came about with that strategy because I could see there's a demand there for that, but also it really fits within where I want to be going in the coming years. So I'm 50 this year. So I'm looking at the next 10 years. I've been in this business for 20 years. I've done 2 decades so far. If I'm going to do another decade in this business, I want to really focus in now for me on where I believe I can add massive value. And I believe by kind of working with people, teaching people, mentoring people, consulting with people, that's how I can really help and grow me as a person, and hopefully at the same time grow other people with their business at the same time. So for me, that's my strategy. That's where I'm at right now, and that's kind of like my focus. So let's focus on you and your strategy. So you could be in full-time employment, and you've been on a kind of one of these like weekend courses that like costs like nothing to go on, and you've been sold the dream that service accommodation is the best thing ever, and you can make loads of cash from it, and all you got to do is like take on some property which you can use other people's money for, and blah 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 blah. So we've all heard these stories, and I know some of us have been caught up in that situation. So there's nothing wrong with that, but service accommodation, if you don't know by now, is bloody hard work. It really is. It's not easy. It's not an easy business, okay? But hopefully by putting yourself in the right environment like you're doing now, that you can then start to look at how you can then really develop your business into a high performance business, which is what I really encourage you to do. So you could be in full-time employment right now, and you're thinking that you want to get out of that business where you are right now. You want to get out of being employed. You've just had enough of it, and you want to create your own business. And I really, really do encourage you and applaud you for thinking that way. And absolutely go for it, do it, definitely. But you've got to think about on your strategy for if you're going to create a service accommodation business, is really think about what gives you that drive. What is your purpose? Like for me, I enjoy connecting people together. I enjoy working with people. I enjoy teaching and sharing. That's the bits, that's my purpose. It's what I really enjoy. What's your purpose? What do you really enjoy? So when you come down to this business, it is a hospitality business. It's not just taking on a property and then being able to let it out. It's not that straightforward. It is a hospitality business, but you can make it that way if you want to. So as an example, if you're currently full-time employed, you've got a regular salary coming in, you may decide that actually you've got the money coming in, so therefore you could take on board property. So you could take properties on a rent-to-rent basis, and I'll share that with you in one of the future masterclasses. You may decide that you're going to take on property where you can then guarantee the rent to the landlord, but you don't have the time to actually manage this property on a day-to-day basis. So there are other people that are out there that want to get into service accommodation that don't have the money, but they do have the time, and they do have the passion to want to go and meet guests and to be able to go out and develop relationships with corporates, and they want to be able to develop business along those lines. So there could be opportunity when you're thinking about your strategy of where you could kind of partner up or work with other people along those lines. And I know there's people within this group, within this environment, where that happens all the time. So that may be something that you're thinking about. Now, let's go to the other side of this, like I've just shared there, where you may want to get into service accommodation. You don't have the money at the moment, but you do have the time, you do have the passion, you do want to get out there, you do want to develop a service accommodation business. And that's fantastic. So again, it's about now working with investors that could be employed. They've got a full-time salary, so it'd be easier for them to be able to take on a rental property off of a landlord, and you could manage that property for them. You could charge them a management fee, anything between 10 and 15%. And I'll go through that model with you in a future masterclass, and you can manage their property for them. And you could either then charge, as I said, a fee, you could share the profits between you. There's lots of different ways of how you could do that. Okay, so it really comes down to thinking about what is your passion, what is your purpose, where are you trying to go, what do you want to try and get out of this, and just really take time to think about that. So your challenge for this week is to think about your strategy and what are you trying to get out of your service accommodation business. Now let's take that to the next level up. So when I work within the boardroom setup that I've created, where I work with my mentoring clients, we have sort of 3 levels that we work at. We have what we call the lifestyle level, which is what I've just shared with you there. So that would be sort of where you want to maybe like replace your income. You want to sort of try to aim on trying to bring in, let's say like up to say like £2,000 per month. That's what you're trying to get to. And so that your strategy initially to start off with could be in that lifestyle level, and you're going to be focusing in on that. Like I've just shared with you there, that could be coming out of full-time employment and working with someone, or that you have no money and you're going to set up a management business or you may want to work with a landlord directly and manage their property for them. So that would be your lifestyle business. The next level up to that is what I call performance business. Now this is where you're trying to increase your level of income, your net margin up to say £10,000 per month. So that would now be taking on like a number of properties that you're going to be managing or you're going to be operating. So now when we're at this level, so you've got yourself to say £2,000 and now you need to get to the next level. Now to get to this next level, it's now about obviously your mindset and your growth now to take you to that next level. So one of the things I do encourage you to think about is whether you want to kind of keep focused on where you are within your location. So like as I said, for me now, it's about being boutique. I want to focus on London. That's where I live. That's where I want to focus on. I want to become the sort of like the KPI, the key person of interest within my location. That's my focus right now. And that could be the same for you, whether you're based in Edinburgh, whether you're in Manchester or Southampton, wherever you are, you may want to be the local specialist that specializes in short-term serviced accommodation within your area. Or you may want to have the best boutique, smart hotel that's in the marketplace within your location right now. Or you may decide that actually we want to take our systems and procedures and we want to roll this out into other locations and therefore become more maybe a regional business or even eventually working towards a nationwide business. So again, it's making sure at that level that you have in place obviously your strategy, you know exactly what you're trying to do, but you've got to make sure that you've got your business and you've broken that down into your various departments. So you have your marketing, your sales, your operations, your finance, and your team. And each one of these departments, now you're developing the processes and the systems within each of those departments, and you're trying to bring team members in to run each of those systems and processes for you, so you can become much more a kind of a management level, so you can drive the business forward because you won't be able to do everything yourself. So at that level, your strategy could be that you want to kind of take on another 10 properties, and that's fantastic. But you need to be thinking about how you're going to be able to develop that. You've got to make sure when you go from a lifestyle business to a performance business, it is a big shift, a big change. So it's really important that you really focus in at the performance level of having the systems and the processes in place, and that you're starting to build your team around you that are going to be running those systems and processes for you so that you can move much, much more into the management level. Okay, so lifestyle is very much about getting the business up and running, becoming the sort of the main person within your area and really working that business. You're doing it, you're running that business. And as I said, being lifestyle, it could be that you could partner up with someone that's going to do the running around for you and meeting and greeting of the guests, and you're going to become more the investor. Or it may be that you want to be the hospitality person out there and you're looking for landlords and partners and investors to work with. So it's important to understand that. And at performance level, you're now exactly the same, but now you're taking it to the next level and you're breaking the business down into each one of these departments, as in marketing, sales, ops, finance, and team. And you're putting your process and systems in place and you're building your team up so you're much more at a management level to be able to push your business forward. And then the next level that I want you to think about, which is what I work on with my boardroom clients, is legacy. Now, legacy is now where you're bringing in the £10,000 a month, let's say. You've got your processes, you've got your systems in place, you've got your team that's running that for you. You're managing the whole process, and again, every day brings challenges, but you're now wanting to look at kind of creating a legacy. So now you're looking at, you know this business works, your serviced accommodation, your small hotel business is working. This is your asset. You've got all the processes in place. This is your IP that all is part of your asset. Your business is an asset. It has a value to it. Okay, and never lose sight of that is an asset, and it's what you want to kind of continue to develop and expand upon. So when we go to legacy level, if you're thinking at that level, now it's about acquiring property. This could be small hotels, this could be bed and breakfasts, guest houses that are tired, that you could maybe do a purchase option, a lease purchase option with those hoteliers because they're tired, they've had enough of cooking the bacon and eggs and they just want to get out. And you can take your model, your asset, the IP that you've created, and you can place that into this building that's ready-made, that has C1 planning in place. It's there and it's ready for you. It just needs a complete facelift. We need to repurpose some of the space, the kitchen, the dining area, the owner's accommodation. We're going to turn those into rooms to add more value, create more revenue, and ultimately make more profit and more margin by using the systems and processes that you put in place. Likewise, you could be looking at exactly the same, but with blocks of residential apartments. You could be acquiring buildings, you could be developing buildings yourself. You could be looking at commercial to residential developments. Now, obviously, the planning for this is going to be C3, and there is opportunity of how you can kind of create licenses around that to be able to run this as service accommodation. But that's what a lot of people are now doing. The big operators, the big service accommodation operators, if you Google search some of the big operators, that's exactly what they're doing. They're taking residential blocks and they're running those as service apartments. So that could be your legacy of where you're trying to go. And again, you could be focused purely on your niche within your area, or you may be looking at doing this and taking your model and placing your business, your service accommodation business, into other locations and maybe partnering with other people throughout the UK and beyond if that's what you're inspired to do. So what I want you to really think about with your strategy are a few things. One, I want you to think about, where are you right now with your business? Are you at the lifestyle level? Are you at the performance level? Or are you at the legacy level? If you're at lifestyle and you want to head towards performance, you need to plan that out. And the same from performance to legacy, you need to plan that out. And if you're at legacy right now, then well done, fantastic, congratulations. Now it's about pushing it to the next level. Or you may be comfortable with what you've now got and you're looking at maybe creating this and selling it on to somebody else. So, I wish you all the best for that. If you are in full-time employment and you want to get into service accommodation, don't feel you have to do everything yourself. You could look at the opportunity of working with other people, and I do encourage you to look at that as an opportunity. It can definitely work for you. And if you do want to go out on your own and do this, then it really is important that you just take your time. Don't rush in. Okay, I see too many people that rush straight in. They buy a deal off a deal saucer. They don't really know what they're doing, and they're up and running and they're trying to get going straight away. Just take your time, do your due diligence, really understand your marketplace, understand what you're trying to do. This is a business. Okay, this is your responsibility, it's your business. Okay, you can't blame it on anybody else. Okay, you've got to focus on you and your business, and you've got to really get that to work for you. So it's important that you understand what your strategy is, and it comes back to that all the time. And that strategy is based around your purpose. Where are you trying to go? Think about where you're trying to go in the next 10 years. And then head towards that. And don't rush. There's no rush with this, okay? Take your time, okay? And it's one step at a time. That's all you need to do. And slowly build the business up, gradually, one step at a time. So that strategy, I hope that's been useful. I appreciate for some of you, this may be stuff that you already know, and you're like, Lee, I know all this stuff already. If that's the case, I hope there may be just like one small comment that I've made here that makes you think, actually, I didn't really think about that. And yeah, I know this stuff, but I need to make sure now that I'm implementing this and I'm really getting this to work. So thank you so much for listening and watching in on this Facebook Live. If you're listening to the recording, then please, if you have any comments, any questions, please put those into the group. I'd love to answer any of those questions. I will be active in this group. I encourage all of us to try and work together within this group. That's what this is about, okay? Let's work together and really try and develop our businesses over the next 12 weeks together. Let's focus on trying to create this high performance business, and that's exactly what we're going to do over the coming weeks. So my challenge for you over this next week is quite simple. I want you to think about, what is your strategy? Okay, based around the things we've just discussed, where are you trying to go with this business? What is your strategy? Where do you want to be within 2020? What is the aim by December of this year? Where is this business going to be for you? I wish you good luck. I'm here. If you want to have a chat, please communicate with me through the group. I'd love to be able to share any of my experience and knowledge with you. and have a great week. Thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.